Hey guys, so we read the intro into Practicing His Presence by Brother Lawrence and Frank Labat in the last video, and we briefly read a bio on the two gentlemen. It starts with Frank, and as you remember, he's writing different letters here. January 26th, January 20th. These letters he wrote to his dad. I'm not going to read them all, but I did highlight some of the stuff I want to read. This one says, 2 years ago, profound dissatisfaction led me to begin trying to line up my actions with the will of God about every 15 minutes or every half hour. Other people to whom I confessed this intention said it was impossible. I judge from what I have heard that few people are really trying even that. But this year I have started out to live all my waking moments in conscious listening to the inner voice, asking without ceasing, "What, Father, do you desire said? What, Father, do you desire this minute?" It is clear that this is exactly what Jesus was doing all day, every day. Wow, that's something right there. This is what Jesus was doing all day, every day. Because remember, Jesus said he did nothing unless the Father told him to, or he heard it from the Father. So Jesus had that constant fellowship with his Father. Here's one from January 26, 1930. For the past few days, I have been experimenting in a more complete surrender than ever before. I am taking by deliberate act of will enough time from each hour to give God much thought. Here's one. I disapprove of the usual practice of talking small talk whenever we meet and holding a veil over our souls. If we are so impoverished that we have nothing to reveal but small talk, then we need to struggle for more richness of soul. I feel simply carried along each hour, doing my part in a plan which is far beyond myself. This sense of cooperation with God in little things is what so astonishes me, for I never have felt it this way before. I need something and turn around to find it waiting for me. I must work, to be sure, but there is God working along with me. God takes care of all the rest. My part is to live this hour in continuous inner conversation with God and in perfect responsiveness to His will. To make this hour gloriously rich, this seems to be that all I need to think about. Perhaps a man who has been an ordained minister since 1914 ought to be ashamed to confess that he never before felt the joy of complete hourly, minute by minute. And what shall I call it? More than surrender. I had that before. More than listening to God. I tried that before. I cannot find the word that will mean to you or to me what I am now experiencing. It is a will act. I compel my mind to open straight out toward God. I wait and listen with determined sensitiveness. I fix my attention there, and sometimes it requires a long time, early in the morning. I determine not to get out of bed until that mindset upon the Lord is settled. After a while, perhaps it will become a habit and the sense of effort will grow less. Waiting and listening, getting quiet for the Lord, not rambling on a laundry list of prayer needs. He knows what we need. What's He saying? In order to hear what He's saying, we have to be quiet and wait and listen. Almost it seems to me now that the very Bible cannot be read as a substitute for meeting with God. Wow. Soul to soul, face to face. And yet, how was this new closeness achieved? I know now that it is by cutting the very heart of my heart and by suffering. Somebody was telling me this week that nobody can make a violin speak the last depths of human longing until that soul has been made tender by some great anguish. I do not say it is the only way to the heart of God, but I must witness that it has opened an inner shrine for me which I never entered before. They say even reading the Bible cannot be a substitute for meeting with God. March 23rd, 1930. One question now to be put to the test is this: can we have that contact with God all the time? All the time awake, fall asleep in His arms, and awaken in His presence? Can we attain that? Can we do His will all the time? Can we think His thoughts all the time? Or are there periods when business and pleasure and crowding companions must necessarily push God out of our thoughts? We cannot keep two things in mind at once. Indeed, we cannot keep one thing in mind more than a half a second. Our mind is a flowing something. It oscillates. Concentration is merely the continuous return to the same problem from a million angles. We do not think of one thing. We always think of the relationship of it. We always think of the relationship of at least two things, and more often of three or more things simultaneously. So my problem is this: can I bring the Lord back in mind flow every few seconds so that God shall always be in my mind? I choose to make the rest of my life an experiment in answering this question. I do not invite anybody else to follow this arduous path. I wish many might. We need to know so much which one man alone cannot answer. For example, can a laboring man successfully attain this continuous surrender to God? Can a man working at a machine pray for people all day long, talk with God all day long, and at the same time do his task efficiently? Can a merchant do business? Can an accountant keep books ceaselessly, surrender to God? Can a mother wash dishes, care for her babies, continuously talking to God? Is this obtainable? Any hour of any day may be made perfect by merely choosing. It is perfect if one looks toward God that entire hour, waiting for His leadership all through that hour and trying hard to do every tiny thing exactly as God wishes it done, as perfectly as possible. No emotions are necessary, just the doing of God's will perfectly makes the hour a perfect one. We'll start here tomorrow. Oh man, I tell you what, guys, there's a lot of golden nuggets in this book. Maybe you guys should pick it up. I got this off of Amazon. It was only like $10, maybe less than that. All right, see you tomorrow.